Hi everyone, thank you for being here tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about creating productive partnerships. What are partnerships? What are the things that you should be looking for? And what you should be trying to avoid. And if it wasn't for partnerships, this is a personal story for me. If it wasn't for partnerships, I would not be having a business right now. Koji is a business partner with me. And if it wasn't for her, I probably would have still kept freelancing and doing solo work until this day. But now I'm running a small agency and we're hiring people and it's great.
Okay, so if you come away with anything tonight, this is the one thing I want you to remember. Productive partnerships require intentional cultivation. They are like a garden. You pick out your seeds, you decide what you're going to plant, and after you plant your seeds, you still have to water every day, you still have to weed every day. So they take continual work throughout the entire partnership. Just in the interest of full disclosure, Nicola and I came about our partnership in a weird way. We are married, and we were married before we became business partners. So we have a sort of different take on how you approach finding a partner, but the lessons that we've learned in our partnership are still applicable to people who are not in a romantic relationship. We want to say that we're not necessarily experts at this, but we do want to share what we have learned so far.
So first, let's start by redefining partnerships. We're going to ask you a couple of questions and I would love for your participation. First question, how many of you have ever applied for a job? Okay.
How many of you have been in a position where you had to look for an employee? Yes. Okay.
And how many of you have worked on a group project, whether it's at work or if it's at school?
Oh yeah, I have to. And how many of you have either started a business with someone or have thought about starting your own business with someone? Okay. Yeah, okay. So that's kind of how we want to redefine partnerships tonight. It's not just starting a business with someone, although that is a large part of it. It's also, if you're an employee and you have an employer, you should think of your employer as your business partner. If you are an employer looking for employees, they are your partners. Sometimes your clients, when you're freelancing, they will be your partners if you're in a long-term project with them. So there's all of these different partnerships. So I don't want you just to think about the standard business partner.
And partnerships are a really vital part of the WordPress community because WordPress community is, I guess we can say it's centered around creating websites, right? However, it's very difficult for a single person to create a great website on their own, like a really complete website. Yes, you can be a very good developer, and so you might create, from a software perspective, you might create a very good, solid website. However, you also need graphic skill designs, graphic skills, UX skills, content creation skills, search engine optimization, and the list goes on and on. So unless you're really a guru in all these different fields, then you're probably going to be better off working with a partner so that you can provide the best final product for your clients. And another thing about WordPress and partnerships is that WordPress, you can look at it as a partnership project. It's a great community project. There's so many people involved in it. It's crazy. According to openhub.com, WordPress has taken 144 person years to develop. Let that sink in. That's 140. If you were working on WordPress full time, it would have taken you 144 years to get WordPress to the state it is today.
Not full time, day and night.
Oh, day and night. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
24
sorry.
hours.
Yeah, so that's insane. So yeah, with partnerships, you can build great things like WordPress. Bad partnerships are bad. How many of you have had an experience with a bad partnership or a partnership that has gone wrong?
Yeah, more than that.
Okay. And if you don't mind sharing, what was bad about it? Like, can you point something that you found was bad and was part of it?
My employer was a jackass.
Okay.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. And how did it feel to be in a bad partnership? Inside, how did you?
It's bad.
It's bad. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like we said, bad partnerships are bad. But bad partners don't necessarily equal bad people, and the opposite is true, where good people don't necessarily equal good partners. So you and your best friend might be thinking about starting a partnership together, but keep in mind that it might not work out. Even though you're best friends, you're great people, but in business it might just not work out that way. And yeah, so keep that in mind. The things that we're going to go through, you might want to go through with any potential partners, so that could be helpful. So here's a couple of things why bad partnerships are bad. One of the first things is that bad partnerships will waste your time. You don't want to be in a partnership where you have to spend a lot of time managing your partner. You don't want to, in a partnership, you want to spend most of your time doing what you do best. That's why you're in a partnership, because the things you do best are the things that someone else might not be able to do or doesn't do as well. However, you should still invest time on making important decisions, because that is not a waste of time, that is building on your partnership. Bad partnerships can drain your energy. Nobody said it, but beyond bad, I imagine that being in a bad partnership also made you feel lack of enthusiasm. You didn't really want to go to work. You didn't want to go do the things you were supposed to do because you felt that it wasn't fulfilling. So having to worry all the time in a partnership is not good. Having to manage to resolve conflicts or being under a lot of stress because maybe all of the work falls on you or something else is not good. It will take a toll on you, and it might lead you to burnout. And at that point you might want to really stop doing what you're doing, and that's not fun. And finally, bad partnerships can prevent you from realizing your potential. See, when you normally work, you will come across potential partnerships that you might want to go on, and they might take you this way or they might take you that way. But when you're in a bad partnership, you're not really going anywhere. You're staying there at that spot. When you're in a partnership, what you have to keep in mind is that you cannot make individual decisions. You can make a decision that will affect all of your partners all on your own, or usually you can't. So you have to pick a partner that's going to be compatible with you and where you're both going to be able to make decisions that will be better for both of you, for everyone involved.
Okay, so bad partners are bad. How do you go about finding a good partner? So, as Nicola stated, a bad partner is not necessarily a bad person. So, a good partner is someone who is a good match for you. And this can take a lot of time and effort to find. Or you can get lucky and marry them. So the first thing that you want to look for is complementary skills. You want to look for someone that fills in the gaps that you have. So you want to first know your own set of skills, and then you need to reflect on those honestly and see what things you're lacking. How I would go about doing this is you pull up the speaker list for a WordCamp and you mark everything that you want to go attend. everything that's interesting to you. That is not where you will find your partners, because those are the people that have the same skills as you. You go into the lectures you don't want to attend, the areas that you really hate, and that is where you will find your partners, because that is where people are developing their skills that are opposite of your skills. To take a look at a real situation, Nicola is a great programmer. He's very outgoing. He likes to take business risks in a safe way. He's personable, and he's very, very patient. Me, on the other hand, I have business experience. No development experience. I barely knew what WordPress was before we got started in it together. I have finance skills. I tend to be very rational, and I tend to have good long-term strategies that make a business a little bit safer than the risk-taking. And I'm a content writer. So when you mash us together, you get a pretty good set of complementary skills. Notice not everything's in there. We had to hire a designer. Neither of us are designers. We had to hire an accountant because I don't know Bulgarian labor laws at all. So the idea is to get complementary skills, but be open to having more than just one partner. At the same time, you want to make sure that you share your values, that you're going in the same direction as your partner. As an example, Nicola is very customer-oriented, and he's a little bit socialist-leaning in his ethics. At the same time, I am sustainability-oriented, and I'm also a little socialist-leaning in my ethics. This allows us to be on the same page when it comes to our bottom line. So we're not necessarily focused on our profits in our business, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not our thing. Instead, we're focused on our customers, our employees, and building something that will last a long time. To give an example of how this has worked in the past, this is Nicola at WordCamp Sofia. And that was Nicola's first time giving a public presentation. Nicola had lots of experience mentoring in WordPress and absolutely no public speaking experience. I have public speaking experience, but I tend to be really shy. I hate speaking in public. And I didn't have anything I wanted to say at WordCamp Sofia. So we were able to combine our skills, my public speaking experience, his knowledge of mentoring in WordPress, and we made a presentation that was helpful, hopefully, to some people. Okay, next thing that you need to look for in a partner is someone who is enthusiastically choosing you. So ideally, your partner is going through this same process of who is the best person to partner with. And when they get to the end of it, you should be the one that they decide to pick. If they don't pick you, then you're going to constantly prove that you have value to them. And that gets into the wasting time, being exhausted, getting irritated. So that's not really a good place to be. So your partner should be your ideal partner, and you should be their ideal partner. And finally, you should have a list of deal breakers. So know your limits, your social limits, your emotional limits, and your professional limits. As an example, my deal breaker is I cannot work with anxious people or high energy people. I'm very low energy, and I get very irritated very easily when someone is high energy around me. So I would not be able to partner for someone like that. I would not be able to be an employee for someone like that. And then once you have found the perfect partner and you've entered into your ideal partnership, this is the work that you're going to have to do to keep that partnership ideal.
Yep. It's not just a matter of finding the right person, it's about making that partnership flourish. So we're going to look at 3 things tonight that you need to do in a partnership in order to make it work over time. The most crucial part, I think, is communication. Because as soon as there's another person involved, until we find a way to communicate our thoughts directly to other people, we have to use communication. We have to talk about things and not just assume things. And this doesn't go just for partnerships, this goes for your projects that you do every day, I assume. When you are looking at a project, it's safer to not assume what your client might be thinking about, because they might be thinking that clicking a button does a million other things than what you expect it to do. So you need to clear things up and not leave them up to guessing. So in a partnership, if you don't communicate on things will go bad. And I mean really bad. Especially on issues. If there's any issues, whether with your partner or anything else, you need to communicate about those as soon as possible. Don't leave them to be buried or not talked about, because they will get worse and worse, and at some point they will explode and make a mess. You don't want to clean up that mess, so talk about things. In order to make it easier for you to communicate with your partners, you can find little ways that you can practice communicating on stuff that's not that important. For example, you can meet once a week with your partner or partners to just have a chat in a coffee shop. Just talk about life or something. That way you'll be more comfortable to talk about the big problems when they arise. The other thing is trust. So you have found an ideal partner, they found you, so you followed all the things. You need to trust them, because that's why you're partners. So because they're much better at what they're doing. So don't constantly micromanage your partner or doubt their decisions or worry about what they're going to do. If you found the right partner, you should be able to trust those partners. At the same time, they should be able to trust you as well. So you need to trust yourself, and say when there's a decision that is in your field of work, you have to say to your partner, hey, I have the experience in this. I think this will be a better way to do it. And you have to make sure that your experience is being accounted for. For example, with me and Koji, I have more experience in pricing projects, and even though I'm trying to teach her a little bit about that too, she trusts me to make the right decisions when it comes to pricing. She doesn't tell me to change the price or anything, she just lets me do what I do, and it works out. And then the third thing is that you need to establish firm boundaries, because boundaries are important. For example, if you're an employee, you need to communicate with your employer whether or not you are okay with them reaching out to you with work-related questions after hours. You might be okay with that, you might not be okay with that, but you should establish that boundary before this happens, before they call you at 2 in the morning to fix that bug that you did 7 hours ago. Ideally, you should set those boundaries ahead of time so that everybody knows what is going on. Like we said, don't leave stuff to guessing or assuming. For example, recently me and Koji had to discuss a new potential business venture opportunity, and the finances side of it was a very big friction point for both of us. We both had completely polarized opinions on the finances, and so anytime we brought that up, we would get in an argument and not be able to talk about any of the other stuff. So one night we decided that we're going to talk about this, but we're going to avoid the topic of finances. And by being able to set this boundary, we're able to actually discuss all of the other important parts of this so that we can actually move forward and make a decision.
Hey. So that sounds like a lot of work, right? Finding your partner, working every day to build a good partnership. Is it worth it? Absolutely. There are many, many benefits to having a productive partnership. And they're pretty much the exact opposite of having a bad partnership. First of all, they are a pleasure. It makes it fun to go into work. It makes it exciting to work on projects together. They leave you feeling energized and happy. And they help you engage with your work on a level that you wouldn't necessarily engage when you're just working on your own. All of this can lead to helping prevent burnout, which is so high in the tech industry. You work for 3 years, 5 years, and you're done. This can add another aspect of your work, another layer that will help you stop that burnout. They can advance your career and your profession. You can, for example, let's think of your partnership with your employer. An employer who really believes in you, who communicates well with you, is going to invest in your development. They're going to send you exciting places. They are going to give you good trainings. And this is going to help you advance your career. On the flip side, let's say you have an employee and your employee values you. Your employee is going to work hard for you. Your employee is going to stay with your company for a long time. So they're going to advance your career. And finally, a good partnership is going to allow you to do things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do all on your own. The example Nicola gave at the very beginning of this speech is that WordPress is a community project. It would not be possible for one person to build it. So good partnerships have allowed many, many good things to happen. And on that note, yeah.
That was it. We would love to answer your questions before we head out to the black sheep and talk about potential new partnerships.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to also say. You guys are taking the first step to good partnerships since you're already coming to different WordPress activities.
Sure.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or thoughts?
Everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so roughly what amount of your clients do you consider your partners? It's like quarter, half, something like that?
It's a good question. I don't think I can say like a specific number, but in general, two?
Three.
Three?
Of
She's
your
saying
clients.
three.
Yeah. One of my clients.
I mean the people that we work with together for a prolonged period of time, because at that point we are mutually beneficial. We are helping each other's business out, and although you should technically approach all of your potential clients as potential partners, because you want to have that
enthusiasm to work with them.
Yes. You have to show them that you're ready to give them a lot in order for them to give back a lot too.
I have some questions as well. I was wondering, how do you convince an employee to actually consider his boss as an actual partner and not as a boss? How do you cope with that?
It's difficult, especially in Bulgaria, because there is a history of a more formal relationship between the employee and the employer. I believe that really it comes when you, what is the word? You lead by example. You invest in your employees. You show them that you care about their development. So say you get a new employee who's pretty fresh in the development world. Maybe you don't necessarily send them out to conferences right away, but you send them into different types of mentoring situations so they can develop their skills. You show that you have that interest in their half, and then they should show that they have their interest in your company. And if that's not there, then you let them go. You end the partnership.
Fair enough. I have some more. Nobody has it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you speak about work at home?
Yes.
We do.
How do you separate the work and the home routine?
Right.
Boundaries. We're not necessarily
usually
good
don't.
about it. One thing is that we do have pretty good work communication. And so when we talk about work stuff at home, it's pleasurable. It's not a drain on us.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is the example Nicola gave where one night we just couldn't talk about finances. We set those boundaries on a night-to-night basis. No, I have no energy to discuss this client, we're done.
Yep.
And then the next night it's open for discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Does it work? Is it worth to marry somebody to build a good partnership? No, that's not the real question actually. The real one is, would you recommend kind of socializing with your partners in order to maintain a healthy partnership?
I mean, I would think so, but it might depend on, case-to-case basis. But I think you should have a good relationship with your partner, not necessarily romantic, but it depends. If they're not that kind of person, then maybe not. But you should be able, I think, to feel open and relaxed around your partner.
As an example, Nicola and I have not been able to go because of the kids, but we do monthly social get-togethers with our company, and it's just laid back, having a few drinks, talking, and that allows you to get to know how someone communicates. It allows you to get to know what they're comfortable with, where their boundaries are. So I would say as long as they let that socializing happen, go for it. It's a good thing.
Yeah, have some more.
If no one else is going to ask questions, that's fine.
Yeah. I was wondering, do you have any tips for, let's say, there are two people and both of them are very impatient.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any tips on how they could approach each other so they could start a relationship?
That's a good question.
Both of them are impatient.
Right.
Impatient in which way? What do you mean by impatient?
Well,
like impatient to start a relationship, or
impatient to the point where they don't even hear each other's opinions. They're not even good at that.
A, maybe you don't want to start a partnership with them. B, though, written communication. The asynchronization of the communication, like as long as you're doing written communication, it gives you time to reflect on something before you write back to them. So distance yourselves a little bit, do some written communication.
Do you have some more?
I can always figure out some more. I want to leave some for the others.
You can ask questions. You don't have to be shy.
Can I ask you guys some questions?
Sure.
You didn't see that coming.
Do you view employer, well, okay, first let's ask here, who is an employee here? Okay.
I guess I'm
Anyone freelancers, employers? No, mostly employees, okay. Do you view your employers as a partner? Yes, no, why not?
2 parts.
Kinda.
After your talk, maybe.
After your talk, not anymore.
Yeah, and something that Koji should have mentioned, obviously, when you are an employee, you're not the same as a business partner, right? You're not gonna get a share of the company. Usually, you're not gonna get to make major decisions in the company, but you're a partner in the sense that you're both working towards a common goal, where most cases usually it's to make profit. And when you work together, it is easier to make that goal.
Yeah. And an employer should always be providing value to the employee.
Yeah.
They should and sometimes it's hard for the employee to necessarily see that value. But there should be, the culling of projects, the fielding management issues, all these things should bring value to your life as an employee. And if it's not, then it's time to move on and find another partner.
Yeah.
A little harsh, sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering about something else. Okay, so I was actually wondering. Let's say you have 2 people and they are they don't match each other's
Skills?
ways. No, not the skills. I mean, it's
Oh,
where they
values?
don't match each other's views and values. Let's say,
Okay.
but they have a very large mutual interest in building partnerships. So how would you suggest that they should approach each other, and what should they do in order to?
I mean, it's really a matter of assessing where the line is. Like, what becomes your breaking point? What are you willing to give up for that partnership? And what you want to hold on to. And so if, honestly, that whole having core values that are similar, having methodology that is similar, is really the basis for a good, strong partnership. So even though you have maybe a mutual interest, like maybe you are going to make great money together if you 2 partner, in the end, it's going to end up draining you. And if you value the profits from that, if you value what you get from the partnership enough to put up with the draininess, that might be okay. Put a time limit on your partnership. Say, we'll partner for 2 years and then we'll reevaluate, and there's an out at the end of that 2 years.
So yeah, the first thing would be to sit down and say, these are the things that I want, these are the things that I'm willing to compromise on, and start working from there. See where the middle ground is and whether it's acceptable for everyone involved.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we don't have any more questions.